Saturday, y'all. All right, let's do a quick little walk through here. Not a whole lot changed. I got some little stuff in here. I think it's candy tuft, parsley, and there was another kind of flower that I planted. I can't exactly recall what that was. I got my gooseberries. This is my herb garden, by the way. I got my gooseberries put in here. I am going to move them. I just really needed some soil to put them in. Lemon verbena kind of spilling over into the garden stage. Oregano doing very well. If this isn't marjoram from last year, I need to just do a taste. Then it's probably just an offshoot of the oregano. But, you know, that'll get huge. Cilantro, coriander going to flower, lovage, chives. The Mexican sour gherkins are doing very well. Unfortunately, I have this Bermuda grass, you know, stuck behind here. I'm just gonna take some scissors to cut that down. It's kind of getting woven into the trellis there, but it's climbing. It's doing really well. All my little potted plants are doing pretty well. I got a couple. This is old. These are old seeds. They're years old. That I had of milkweed that I got for free. So we're gonna see if I can't grow that for the you know, butterflies. And then this was something else. I wrote it in my journal. Shiso doing very well. She's so pretty. And you know, these little things that look like baby okra, this is the hibiscus. So hibiscus is finally beginning to flower here. My other flowers are getting some vegetative growth, but they're not like exploding. Got hops propped on my trellis. Cantaloupe. If I don't get the rain we're expecting today, which is going to explode anytime here now, I'm going to give that a really good soak. And baby's breath. So over here, I did make a change. This is kind of my one tree forest here. But what I've been doing is just kind of piling. You know, I started this in the fall, and I just, any sticks, you know, like random sticks, weeds that I was worried about going to seed, anything like that, you know, long grasses, I just pile up here. And, you know, obviously with the wind over the fall, leaves blow in and get stuck in there. This little greenery here is some kind of squash that, probably from a pumpkin that I threw in here or something. Any kind of pots that I've had to clean out and put old soil, I just pop it here. Wood ash. So, and there's a lot of bees and insects on my yarrow right now. It's pretty cool. So anyway, and, you know, my wild yarrow, which is very controlled here because it's in a shaded area. You can even see the dividing line there between the sun and the shade. So, you know, I did go over the ginger. I believe I went over the ginger that I planted. That's these black mounds. And then what I've done is I have some hydrangea plants. And I'm not quite sure if it's the green or the woody parts that you're supposed to transplant. So I went ahead and did that. And even though this area is extremely shaded, you know, I have hydrangeas growing on the north side of my house. So I know that a lot of shade, you know, will still produce flowers and let them grow. And then I even popped a mulberry cutting in here. We'll see how that does. It was basically in water for like a week. So I'm meaning to go get more cuttings from the tree, but it's right in the neighborhood. And then, you know, raspberries, if the birds don't get them first. And, you know, I got some guys that are just about ready. That guy's probably just about there. But, you know, the tragedy is sometimes I get no berries, sometimes I get little half berries because the birds grab them first. So I'm going to wait until the fall, till all the leaves start to die back on here. I'm going to give them a really good trim because I actually haven't trimmed this at all except for what's just broken off. And, oh, big old wasp. And yeah, then I'll get a proper trellis thing growing. I just, mixture between funds and time, kind of running low here as the summer kicks off and I'm switching jobs here soon. So, honestly, I'm working a 6-day week from here on out. But, you know, the payoff is more money I can put into the garden because that's where my priorities are. So I got, you know, wildflower beds doing great. I got some cornflowers. I can recognize them from the mix. There's all kinds of stuff, you know, poppy, about to burst open here. Some other plants that I don't quite know the names of, except the alyssum. You know, more poppy, cosmos. These are all kind of volunteers from where the wildflowers were last year, and some nasturtiums. Kind of, the idea was to get them to creep, but I don't think they really take off until the weather gets nasty. And then I have some amaranth volunteers, and of course my beautiful self-seeded borage. And you know, the straw is pretty much where it was last week. You know, things are still coming up. I got peas still forming here. Everything's doing really well. You know, this Tuscan kale still doing really solid. I think I'm just gonna rip out the old oh geez, little baby ones on there. So that's the harlequin bugs that I've managed to identify. German kale's a fucking joke, man. So anyway, squash is doing well despite the rain. You know, I got some volunteer sunflowers here and there. Carrots doing well. I've read for saving the seeds, you would basically want them to fully dry and fall over, and they almost turn brown. So, you know, if each one of these heads is, I mean, each one of these heads is probably like a plot of carrots the way I have them planted now. So, even though these were kind of like a random hybrid mix, I mean, as long as they're edible, I'm really not going to be too picky about the variety or the color. The tomatoes, I need to do some trimming. I need to train these guys up the cages a little bit. They're kind of spilling over, so those bottom branches are going to come off because they always end up a mess. Every year, basil is exploding, as one of the users, I believe it was my boy Turd Wilson, said. They do look a little deficient. So, you know, maybe after this rain that's coming up here, I'll go ahead and either get some kind of fish emulsion. I also have like a trace minerals and, you know, solution that I can mix in here. And I'm sorry if I sound out of breath. I just got done mowing front and backyard. Got some flowers on my marigolds. I believe these are all going to be seeds here soon. I'm really trying to leave all this alone right now. It's not quite hot enough for tomatoes to really produce, despite my tomato production. But you know, this all needs heat and hyssop. So back here, corn is finally taking over. It's growing. The beans are doing great. Did have a fennel die, and the root had actually rotted. I'm assuming that's just from the rain, and the other fennel is doing well. So if I want to eat the bulbs here, I'm going to have to take them out pretty soon. They've gotten to a very reasonable size. And then, you know, obviously if I leave them in, they'll flower, and that will attract all kinds of, you know, beneficial insects. I'm kind of torn because even though I really love fennel, my family does not. So it'll pretty much just me eating a big old fennel salad by myself. And, oh, hey, ladybugs, sweet. Man, look at this. Okay, there's actually like an epic battle going on that no one could probably see here. So it looks like in the foliage here, there is ants. And these ants are training aphids. So, you know, they do their thing. They stroke them. They get them to produce a little honeydew. And then the ladybugs, it looks like, are just sitting in wait to eat the aphids. Now, ladybugs obviously eat aphids. That's all well and good. But ants are very fierce protectors. So, that's really cool. I'm sorry to get so excited about something that small. And then that reminds me of something I saw earlier that I wanted to point out. Thank you, ladybugs. So I have this, this is like a wild lettuce weed. It's one of these little spiky joints. And, you know, the flowers almost kind of look similar to dandelion flowers. But if you can, let's see if I can get this boy in focus here. You can barely make it out, but this thing is crawling in aphids, like up and down the stem. And I want to leave that. Well, one, the weed doesn't bother me too much, but I mostly want to leave that because, you know, aphids produce very quickly. And a lot of people will jump to spraying, or even something as simple as an insecticide soap or a neem oil. But the issue with that is you don't give a chance for the ladybug population to really explode and start doing away with them. And obviously if there's a lot of ladybugs and there's nothing for them to eat, then they will just go ahead and, either starve or go elsewhere. So by leaving those aphids there, I've given a food source to the ladybugs, which will encourage the ladybugs to stick around. And then just one thing I want to point out inside of my house, I need to I need to do some stuff on there, but this is a lovage flower. I've had this lovage plant for probably 3 years now. Definitely big old boy. But it's flowering, so I may have some seeds. And then I can have lovage all over the place, even though I don't eat a lot of it. And then I still have not put these poor plants in the ground. And my little butterfly bush cuttings are actually doing pretty well, relatively well. So anyway, that's pretty much the garden, guys. Oh, and I had 2 zucchini plants die, so I got to rip them out and reseed that area. So yeah, until next week.